Tonight on Battleground, we kick off this brand new show with a laser focus on the swing states, the people, places, and issues in the 7 battleground states that will decide the 2024 election. Here's our map with all 7 states highlighted: Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, where we are today. In total, they're home to 93 electoral votes, and like elections past, the states that will determine whether Joe Biden or Donald Trump gets a second term in the White House. And just how close was it in 2016 and 2020? Well, this close.
And Hillary Clinton is a gracious loser as she concedes the race to Trump.
Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
After sweeping nearly every swing state in the country.
Official Joe Biden is the confirmed winner of Wisconsin.
Fox News has projected that former Vice President Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States.
Now, please accept my apologies if that gives any of you PTSD. But before we look ahead to this November, let's add some context to those dramatic moments. In 2016, Hillary Clinton lost Wisconsin by less than 1% of the vote, a razor-thin margin that arguably delivered the election to Donald Trump. When you add in Michigan and Pennsylvania, she lost all 3 states by less than 80,000 votes. Guys, that's fewer people than attend one Michigan football game. But when you look nationally, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by nearly 3 million. Now, I'm not going to go all Schoolhouse Rock on you about how that works. You already know that. But this is why we are focused on these 7 swing states. Okay, now fast forward to 2020, the math was just as close. Just 44,000 votes in Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin essentially determined the race for Joe Biden. But of course, in the end, it's not the margins that matter. In 1787, a group of men just down the street from where I am right now made sure of that. And even within these 7 battleground states, the number of people who swing the race one way or the other is stunningly small. According to a recent report by Axios, just 6% of the voters in our 7 swing states will decide this election. 6%. Let that sink in. So who are these voters? We'll call them the 6%ers. Well, it's you, and it's your neighbor. It's your son's Little League coach, the cashier at the grocery store, the mom and pop who own your favorite lunch counter. It's the people at church, at the gym, and the old high school friends you still keep in touch with on Facebook. It's even your brother-in-law who you can't believe gets to vote. So when someone tells you that they don't have time to vote or that their vote doesn't matter, think about these actual voters. This is Jennifer W., a registered nurse in Michigan, and in 2016 and 2020, she voted for Donald Trump. This time around, she says she'll vote for whomever will put her in the best financial situation to retire. Her vote is crucial. This is Zoila S., a real estate agent in Nevada. She's a registered Republican who was granted amnesty from Mexico thanks to a law signed by Ronald Reagan. But she doesn't consider Trump to be a Reagan Republican. She is voting for Biden this year. Her vote is significant. This is Arthur W., a retired FedEx employee in North Carolina. Immigration and the economy are his top issues. A Trump supporter in 2020 and a Trump voter in 2024, his vote is critical. This is Veronica G., a life coach in Arizona, an independent voter who usually sides with Democrats, including Biden, in 2020. But this year she's going with RFK Jr. Her vote could make a difference. This is Juan M., a small business owner in Pennsylvania who's proud of his blue-collar work ethic. He's undecided this year but says the economy is his top issue. When he does decide, his vote could be the difference. So why are we launching this new show? It's really simple: to cover this race on the ground in the places that will ultimately decide this election. And hopefully to support the grand experiment that was hatched nearly 250 years ago right here in Philadelphia. An experiment that we hope will survive these unprecedented times. Or else, well, let's not even go there. Between now and the election, we will bring you the stories of the people, places, and issues that will make the difference. Not with a partisan bent, but simply to call balls and strikes, to cover the horse race, and to arm you with the information you need to feel confident in your choice on November 5th. And the secret sauce of how we'll do all of this is actually right in your own backyard. We're tapping into local reporters and journalists in swing states, cities, towns, big and small, to bring you news about what's happening where voters live, to talk about what voters talk about. So we hope you'll join us each week. And online, on social media, and by signing up for our weekly newsletter. This is much more than just a TV show. Speaking of social media, if this is your first time voting in a presidential election and you live in one of our swing states, let us know what issues are driving your decision. Up next, a closer look at what's driving voters in both Pennsylvania and Arizona. And later on, we check in with all 7 swing states to see where this race stands according to some recent state polling. But first, here's what some voters in Milwaukee are saying about the race. We'll be right back.
I think it may go the other way this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. Something Trump doing. He got a strong supporting group behind him.
Trump or Biden for you personally right now?
I'm up in the air.
I'm voting for Joe.
I believe in the importance of it. I'm glad I voted.
I believe with everything that's going on in the world that everyone has to, make their voices be heard. And, we can do signs and everything, but get out there and vote.
Battleground will be right back.
We come here because this is part of our duty as citizens of the United States, but not thrilled with this presidential, what our choices are.
I'm just so worried about all the divisiveness in the country.
I really looked at how the candidates were responding to abortion rights and gun safety specifically.
I vote pro-life. We both believe that's a good way to vote.
A quick look at our interactive swing state map, courtesy of our friends at 270 to Win. You can find it and much more at battlegroundnews.com. Now, among the many reasons we're here in Philadelphia, the birthplace of our American democracy, is that Pennsylvania has the most electoral votes of all 7 of the swing states. Pennsylvania has the most electoral votes, 19, and given how close this race appears to be, whomever wins Pennsylvania may just win the whole ballgame. For more on the race here in the Keystone State, officially a Commonwealth. I'm familiar. I'm also from a Commonwealth. I'm pleased to be joined by Jeff Cole, award-winning reporter from right here at FOX29 in Philadelphia. So, Jeff, welcome. So great to have you with us. Or welcome. I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'm happy to be with you.
Yes. Okay. So before we get to 2024, can you just remind us how close the race was here 4 years ago?
It was extremely close. Joe Biden won this state by a little more than 1%. He polled at about 3,450,000 votes. Donald Trump, 3,370,000 or so. Extremely close, expected to be this close as well in 2024.
All right, so let's zoom in on Philadelphia here and talk about, I mean, it's a big state.
Yes.
Obviously, people vote differently based on where they live. Tell us a little bit about the contours geographically.
So as you know, the Democratic political consultant, very well known, James Carville, working a gubernatorial race here, said this famously, that Pennsylvania is Philadelphia on one side.
Right.
Pittsburgh on the other, and Alabama all throughout the rest. So a controversial claim, one that certainly folks have been critical of in terms of him saying this, but in some sense true. Biden has to win in the Philadelphia area, has to win in these collar counties where there are largely Democratic voters, not fully. In Pittsburgh, has to win again, in Allegheny County out here, and these collar communities. And all of the red, all of it, is Donald Trump. Has to do well, has to hold Biden down in these communities. And that's how you get your win in Pennsylvania.
And for viewers who might be looking at this and saying, wow, that's a red state. These are the population centers. These blue counties are the big population centers. That's why this state is still a swing state.
No question about it. These are the population centers. These are where the votes are. If you're a Democrat and you're going to win, you've got to do this. But Trump has done extremely well in these counties, and he does have support in these locations as well. They will battle over these sorts of swing communities. there are swing counties in Pennsylvania as well.
Well, Trump may be up around here. Joe Biden, though, is famously from Scranton.
Yes.
Is that going to help him? Ordinarily, that would.
Yeah, Scranton Joe, that's his name. Should it help him? Certainly it'll help him, but the latest poll here has Trump up. Now, by 3 points, it's obviously, you know, head-on-head here, very close. Trump, in very many ways, attracts people who are disaffected by government. I have covered his events here. Campers show with huge posters of Trump on them. People wear the outfits of Donald Trump. They are fully committed. He has strong support here. He will battle hard here.
Well, and I'm wondering if we can talk about this one, because there are a lot of young voters in college towns. Where are you seeing young voters in Pennsylvania right now?
Sure, that's State College. That's the home of Penn State, Pennsylvania State University, the big university here. From what we can tell, at least at this point, there certainly has been some concern on the part of young voters with what's gone on in Gaza. At the University of Pennsylvania, the Ivy League school here in this city, at Drexel also here, Swarthmore out in Delaware County, there have been encampments. Young people are angry with what's gone on in Israel and particularly in Gaza and the loss of life. And it does appear that they're holding, at least right now, Biden responsible for this.
Jeff Cole, so great to see you, and thanks. Battleground is online 24/7 at battlegroundnews.com, where you can sign up for our newsletter, see the latest swing state news, access our interactive map, and find our social media links. Later on, a look at some recent swing state polling, much of which has been good news for Donald Trump, though a new CBS poll out over the weekend offers some optimism for the Biden White House. We'll be right back. Battleground will be right back.
I'm sorry that politicians have let you down, but I'm going to change that. I'm Ruben Gallego. I'm running to be the senator of Arizona. Because you deserve somebody fighting for you and fighting with you every day.
When we take back the U.S. Senate, we can fix it. I'm Carrie Lake, and I approve this message because my vision is to make Arizona safe, affordable, and great again.
Welcome back to Battleground. Let's talk about an emerging trend we're seeing in this election, the possibility of split tickets in many swing state races. They say a rising tide lifts all boats, and popular up-ticket candidates can help elect down-ballot senators or congresspeople. However, in this election, with both presidential candidates deeply unpopular, down-ticket candidates are either going it alone or they're using their popularity to influence the presidential race. Case in point, Arizona, with a Democratic seat being left open by the departing Kristen Sinema, which brings us to the Senate matchup there, featuring former news anchor turned fervent Trump supporter Carrie Lake and former Marine, now U.S. Congressman Ruben Gallego. Recent polls tell the tale. The Democrat Congressman Gallego appears to have a fairly comfortable lead over Carrie Lake, while the same polls show Republican Trump up on Biden. For more on this, we head to Arizona, where Ellen McNamara, award-winning anchor at FOX10 Phoenix, is standing by. Ellen, great to see you. I'll ask you the question that is vexing so many people. Explain these schizophrenic poll numbers in Arizona.
Yeah, hi, Essie. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, right? And the short answer is that it is complicated. Right now, though, two issues, big issues here in Arizona, are favoring Trump. They're helping him right now, according to polling. That is immigration, and that is also inflation. So immigration, we're a border state, and Democrats, Republicans, they all agree that something needs to be done. Our governor, Katie Hobbs, was going, hello, federal government, we need some help here. Nonprofits being stretched thin, our communities, border communities being stretched thin, as well as the Border Patrol. So we don't know if this Biden executive order will help or not as far as his polling and also what happens in November. But right now, people being polled say they favor Trump when it comes to immigration.
What's another top of mind issue there in Arizona?
Inflation. So many people moved here during the COVID pandemic. We've had home values skyrocket. So a $300,000 home is now a $600,000 home, and people just feel like they're being priced out of Arizona, and those home values have not dropped at all.
And Ellen, what about the divide even among other Republicans in Arizona?
The Republican Party is divided into MAGA and then also the McCain Republicans. And those in 2020 voted for Biden. They were tipped towards Biden based on character alone. and that goes for McCain Republicans and also a lot of independents.
Let's talk about Ruben Gallego. He's, of course, a former Marine. And in a state like Arizona that has long held military service and in such high regard, a lot of military families who are voters there, I assume that's another reason for maybe how well he's doing there, right?
Yeah, it definitely is, SE. And right now he has a cash advantage. So he has about $9 million cash on hand. And for the last month or so, we have been bombarded on our airwaves with his ads. So he is telling his story. He's telling folks that he is a Marine. He served in Iraq. He lost a number of his fellow combat veterans. He was raised by a single mom. And, you know, every political consultant will say that first ad buy, you have to get your story out. So that's what he's doing for people who don't know who he is. Something else, though, he's a congressman, right? So he's already won a race. He's already serving in D.C. And his ex-wife, oh, by the way, is a popular mayor here in Phoenix. So the Gallego name is everywhere, and that is helping him, too.
Yeah, I bet. No stranger to Arizonans. Okay, Ellen McNamara, stay with us, because we're coming right back to you as we check in with all 7 of our swing states for a snapshot of where this presidential race is on this 10th of June. Battleground will be right back. Finally, on this first edition of Battleground, we wanted to take a quick trip to our swing states and ask our reporters one question. What is the state of the race right now? This isn't a sports show, but we are covering a horse race, so here we go. First up, we head to Wisconsin and Fox 6 News Milwaukee political reporter Jason Calvi. Jason.
SE, former President Donald Trump is ahead in Battleground, Wisconsin. The latest morning consult poll is up by about 1 percentage point. That's within the margin of error. And when we talk to voters again and again in Battleground, Wisconsin, we're hearing the #1 issue on their minds when they go to vote this fall is the economy, and they rate former President Donald Trump better on that key issue over President Biden.
Jason, thank you. Now for a view from Michigan, we turn to James David Dickson, independent journalist and former managing editor of Michigan Capital Confidential.
The state of the race in Michigan is close. Donald Trump won in 2016 by 10,000 votes. Biden won in 2020 by 150,000 votes. You look at cities like Detroit, where the black population doesn't feel their lives have improved in the last 4 years. You look at a city like Dearborn, where they're dissatisfied with Biden's handling of the war in Gaza. So it's going to be tighter than anyone could ever imagine. It's anybody's ballgame.
Thank you, James. Now we head west and check in with Renee Dixon, host of Nevada Week on Vegas PBS. Amber.
Thank you, SC. Recent polling by the New York Times and Siena College has former President Trump with a 12-point lead over President Biden in Nevada. That same poll found the economy to be by far the one issue most important to Nevada voters when deciding their vote. And the last time a Republican presidential candidate won Nevada was in 2004.
Thanks, Amber. Okay, we stay out west and head back to Phoenix and Ellen McNamara.
Right now, former President Trump is leading President Biden by about 5 points in the latest polling data that we have. Now, as far as the U.S. Senate race goes, very different situation for Democrats. Democrat Congressman Ruben Gallego is leading Republican Kari Lake in every poll, and one poll has him up by as much as 13 points.
Thanks again, Ellen. To the crucial state of Georgia we go, and Fox 5 Atlanta anchor Russ Spencer. Russ, what's the state of this race there and why?
You know, Joe Biden took Georgia by 0.2 of a point in 2020, 11,779 votes. Most people I talk to expect another close race, but the latest polls have former President Trump up by 5 this go-round, in part because he seems to be gaining ground with African Americans. Now, one caveat. Until recently, Mr. Trump has been critical of early and absentee voting, which begins in October here in Georgia. And Democrats are all in when it comes to voting before November 5th.
Thanks, Russ. And now to North Carolina and WCCB in Charlotte. There we find anchor Morgan Fogarty. Morgan.
Good to be with you, SC. Here in North Carolina, it's going to be really interesting to watch what happens as we move toward November. We're well known for tight elections, and the most recent polling from Real Clear Politics shows Trump with a roughly 5-point lead over Biden. Abortion, immigration, international conflict, those are concerning for North Carolina voters. But I think the economy is really the key issue here. Biden's policies helping with manufacturing and industrial growth here in North Carolina, but inflation. That is a different story, and voters are looking for answers to that. I should also point out Trump won North Carolina in both 2016 and 2020.
Thank you, Morgan. And we finish up where we started tonight, right here in Pennsylvania, with Fox 29's Jeff Cole.
The state of the race in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is close and evolving. The latest polling by the New York Times, Siena College, and the Philadelphia Inquirer finds Donald Trump with a 3-point lead. Why? Concerns about the economy, the president's age, access to abortion, crime, and democracy all seem to be driving the race. The candidates are expected here often.
Thanks again, Jeff. So as you can see, many recent state polls favor Donald Trump, but some good news for the Biden team over the weekend. A new CBS poll shows the race tightening following Trump's hush money verdict. So buckle up. It's going to be a very interesting 147 days until Election Day. And as always, we will continue to cover this race from the point of view of our 7 swing states, bringing you the people and places that will decide the 2024 election. I'm SE Cupp. See you next time on Battleground.